Welcome to the ISO Show, dispelling myths and sharing tips for success to improve your business with ISO standards.
If you're listening to this podcast, then you're in great company. We've got thousands of listeners who have a thirst for continual improvement and raising standards in business. Whether your interest is in quality, sustainability, or risk standards, I'd love to welcome you as a member to our online platform for all things ISO, the ISology Hub. The ISology Hub is the leading place to get access to all of your online resources, from in-depth training courses through to our very popular coffee break training, to templates and action plans and many other resources to help raise standards. As a member, you get access to over 100 courses, taking you from learner to practitioner to leader. The ISology Hub has all the resources that you need, which will really help to make your life easier and to help improve compliance in those business critical areas. So if you'd like access to learning and compliance resources ranging from data privacy to environmental management, anti-bribery, business continuity, quality, health and safety, to name just but a few, the list is endless actually, then we'd love you to come and join us. Just head over to the isologyhub.com.
Hello and welcome to the ISO Show. My name is Steph Churchman and I'm the Communications Manager here at Blackmores. Today I'm going to be discussing the topic of outsourcing your ISO support, including why you may choose to go down this path and the benefits of doing so. So first of all, I suppose I should start by defining what is meant by ISO support, as this is different from ISO implementation. If you're new to ISO, then you may not be aware of the continual cycle of maintenance that's required to keep your certification. So if you didn't know, it's not a case of being certified once and then that's it, you have the certificate forever, which would be lovely, but no. Instead, ISO certification works on a 3-year cycle. This starts as soon as you're officially certified and requires you to have an annual surveillance visit from your certification body each year to review the progress of your system. It's basically checking in to see if you're still doing what you say you're doing and driving continual improvement. This ensures that the management system isn't just fading into the background. They do this for 3 years, and then on that 3rd year, it will involve a recertification visit. That visit will either see you continue on with your certification, or, in the worst case scenario, you may lose your certification. A big factor that plays into possibly losing your certification is missing out on any key annual tasks such as carrying out internal audits, updating management system documentation, conducting a management review, a failure to address non-conformities, and not showing any actual improvement. So this is where ISO support comes in, as managing all those annual tasks can be quite a challenge. If you'd like to learn more specifically about what tasks you can outsource, then go back and listen to episode 105, where we also cover how to maintain high quality of any outsourced tasks. So back onto the question of why would you outsource? There are a few very good reasons, including, number 1, internal auditors not being comfortable about auditing their peers. It may be the case that certain individuals do not get on. However, if someone manages a key process or area of the business, they still need to be audited. If your internal auditor resource is limited to only one person, this can be tricky to navigate. There's also the chance for auditors to be misunderstood or have trouble getting the answers that they need from auditees. Auditing requires the ability to effectively communicate and make yourself understood. It's quite common for auditees to ask for further clarification on questions asked, so you need to be able to work with them so that they understand what you're really asking. And it can be understandably frustrating or possibly even discourage auditors if they have trouble getting the information they need, which can lead to a reluctance to audit certain individuals. Number 2, internal auditors not being particularly objective or impartial when auditing their boss. It can be hard to be impartial towards leadership, even if it is ultimately in their best interest. These dynamics can be habitual, but by not pointing out genuine issues or opportunities for improvement, you diminish the purpose of the exercise. So don't be afraid to highlight these things, as it's crucial to drive continual improvement. This also involves any leadership being receptive to feedback given, so it's not all on the auditor. If this hasn't been taken well in the past, it's understandable for individuals to be hesitant doing so again, even if it's a very necessary part of the process. And this is why true leadership commitment is so vital to the success of a management system. They should understand the purpose of the audits and welcome any findings which will end up benefiting the business. And then next we have fed up with paying for training for a high turnover of internal auditors. So internal auditing will require a qualification, which like many things costs money. These courses usually only take between 1 to 3 days depending on the standard focus, but they aren't cheap. We're not talking exorbitant amounts of money, but it would be an extra thing to budget for. And then there's factoring in the time to complete the course, which takes away from that individual's other responsibilities. It can also be frustrating when your only internal auditor moves on, and so you have to train another. Depending on the business, this could happen quite frequently, and so this ends up being a repetitive expense. Then if you add more certifications to your management system, you'll need to ensure that they are competent to audit against all of them, which again, if you have an auditor leave that has qualifications to audit against, say, 3 different ISO standards, then you're going to have to either pay for training for someone else to get up to speed, or hire someone with that expertise. Next, reason number 4, managers not having time to update processes. There's a good chance that your management system is owned by either just one individual or a small team within the business. Those involved will already have their plates full with day-to-day operations, and anything ISO related is just another task to add on to that pile. In the eyes of many, they may seem unimportant in comparison, and will continually get shuffled down the priority list until it becomes a mad dash to get everything updated ahead of a surveillance or recertification audit. As concise as we like to try and make management systems, it still creates an amount of documentation to keep track of. This can be more of a nightmare if you have multiple versions of things floating around, so getting implementation right from the start can help reduce that issue. But even those mature systems can experience trouble with duplicated processes or confusion with old versions, and finding the time to sit and refresh all of that is often hard to accomplish. Reason number 5. Managers not being aware of their legal, regulatory, and ISO standard requirements. Managers are generally not ISO experts. We see it all too often that they get landed the additional job of either seeking certification on behalf of the business or managing an existing system with no prior ISO experience under their belt. As ISO standards lay out best practice, they do require businesses to be aware of and adhere to relevant legislation and regulations. Again, you'd be very lucky to find any individual in your business that is both an expert in law and ISO standards. Now, you don't need to have extensive knowledge of either to implement an ISO standard, but simply put, you don't know what you don't know. It can be easy for things to get missed, such as a regulation that your manager likely had no clue about. You can't expect them to be the font of all knowledge, and it will take time to familiarise themselves with what's relevant to your business and where to find that information. Next, reason number 6, not updating key information such as a risk register, your BCPs, or your environmental and energy metrics. We know most people don't like admin, but monitoring and measuring is a big part of ISO management. You need to document certain metrics if you want to track them effectively. You will also need to update key documentation, as nothing stays the same forever. Major business changes may prompt updates to key policies and processes. You may have opportunities to improve that fall out of audits that require certain documentation to be updated, or correcting things where non-conformities have been raised. This may seem like a tedious one, but it is necessary to keep the momentum of a management system going. It needs to grow with you, which it will fail to do if everything documented is only applicable to how your business operated a few years ago. And then lastly, not reviewing key information, such as objectives in environmental data or security trends. This is similar to the previous one. Objectives is another key metric that should be reviewed on a regular basis. This is not only to establish if you are making progress with them, but also to possibly adjust if the original plans were a bit too lofty. They should still be a challenge to obtain, but we're all only human, and sometimes our first estimates about what's achievable might be a tad too ambitious. Objectives are a key tool for continual improvement, and are a universal ambition for everyone within the business that they can all contribute to, or relevant departments if the targets are area-specific. There is also a need to review audit results to see if there's any trends in areas such as information security, sustainability, and risk. This could be opportunities for improvement for some reoccurring issues that need to be addressed. All of this monitoring is going to require some dedicated time from relevant personnel, including feeding back results and following through with any further actions. So as you can tell, there is a lot to keep up with when maintaining a management system. It's definitely a team effort, and it needs continuous momentum to reap the true benefits. It may sound like a lot of work, but if implemented correctly, a lot of these tasks should just become a part of your way of working. And this is why we always advocate for a bespoke approach to implementation. Otherwise, a management system just fades into the background. But even with our best efforts, you will always need to set aside some dedicated time to fully maintain your management system. The time and stress involved in doing so can be heavily reduced with the help of outsourced ISO support. Though that's not the only advantage, so let's take a look at the additional benefits. Starting with expertise and specialization. Dedicated ISO consultants will keep you up to date with the latest standard revisions, interpretations, and best practices. This includes their experience with helping businesses to plan and conduct annual maintenance. At Blackmores, ISO support is our bread and butter. We do this day in and day out, and our consultants ensure that they coach individuals within your business to be able to continue on with management system related tasks, even if they no longer use our support. They are there as a guiding hand and can be a great sounding board for you if you have any questions surrounding ideas or actions that you're unsure about. Ultimately, their help ensures your system is maintained effectively and, most importantly, compliantly. Next is cost savings. While there is a fee for outsourcing, it's often more cost-effective than maintaining an in-house team or dedicating significant internal resources. As mentioned earlier, you would need qualified internal auditors at the very least. This will require training costs. You also need to consider the time taken out of the individual's typical working schedule to be able to conduct any annual ISO maintenance. And of course, this will take away from their annual day-to-day operations and tasks. Or you may possibly need to hire personnel dedicated to ISO system management, depending on how large the scope and your organisation is. It all adds up, and it can be rather difficult to budget for when handled internally. We took this into consideration when creating our ISO support plan option, which is a 3-year contract that allows you to stay on a fixed rate for those 3 years. It's a set-it-and-forget-it approach to ISO support, which is flexible in both the number of days required annually in addition to the tasks you'd like support with. Moving on to benefit number 3, reduced workload for internal staff. It's often the case that individuals, especially within SMEs, often wear many hats. Adding ISO maintenance onto that will impact their day-to-day activities. Outsourcing frees up their time and resources, allowing them to focus on core business activities rather than the complexities of ISO maintenance. A lot of people also don't take training into consideration for people who get handed the task of maintaining a management system. If they've had no experience with it before, they'll need to have to do some CPD to get up to speed with what needs to be done and how. It's a lot of unnecessary stress when they've already likely got enough on their plate. Outsourcing will take a lot of that burden away and give them a chance to lean on consultant guidance and be able to learn how to manage the tasks without the fear of jeopardizing the company's certification. Next is a big one, impartiality and objectivity. An external consultant can offer an unbiased perspective on your management system's performance, identifying areas for improvement that might be overlooked by internal staff due to familiarity or bias or ingrained practices. A fresh pair of eyes can provide a lot of valuable insight. In addition to the lessons learned from other clients, it also helps to have another unbiased voice on your side if you have suggestions for improvement that need presenting to leadership. And while we'd like to believe that top management would gladly take the feedback from anyone within the business, sometimes you may require an extra push in the form of an external party support to get the ball rolling. It should also be noted that impartial audits are a requirement of ISO standards. This is so that you're not marking your own homework all the time. It's another level of assurance that you are doing what you say you're doing. Next benefit is continuity and risk management. Employee turnover can disrupt internal ISO maintenance. We've seen this quite a lot, where the one person managing a system leaves and the business does nothing to replace them. They then scramble when the next surveillance or recertification audit is coming up because no internal audits have been completed, as they'll be likely to fail without those being done. Outsourcing provides continuity, as any external provider will be available for the duration of an agreed contract. There's no ambiguity on how long you will have their support for. They will help you plan out what needs to be done and facilitate this with the relevant individuals within your business. Benefit number 6 is improved efficiency and effectiveness. External specialists will have the experience to help streamline processes and tools for maintenance activities. This will make the system and its running more efficient, leaving you with more time to implement worthwhile changes and reap the tangible results. Having their guidance from the start means you'll be hitting the ground running. At Blackmores, we ensure that annual activities are planned out in advance so everyone can be prepared and work on a consistent schedule. We found this keeps the momentum going in addition to embedding a working routine that you can continue even if you decide to stop ongoing support later down the line. Next benefit is enhanced compliance and audit readiness. Outsourced ISO consultants are going to be more adept at ensuring the system remains fully compliant with ISO standards, as they can proactively identify and address non-conformities that could be easily missed by those with significantly less auditing experience. As much as we recommend training someone in-house to conduct internal audits, there is a level of experience that is tricky to achieve if you've not been conducting audits on the regular. Consultants know what to look for, and will often have significant industry experience to know what stones to unturn to find issues and opportunities. And that truly is the purpose of internal audits, to not only check that processes and policies and procedures are being followed, but to seek out where you can be doing better, or fixing issues as your business changes and adapts. And take it from us, it's much better to find all those ahead of your surveillance and recertification audits, and it's a consultant's job to ensure that you're ready to go through those without any major issues. Next benefit is a focus on core business activities. By offloading the burden of ISO maintenance, you can reallocate your focus and resources to core business activities and strategic initiatives. ISO consultants can take a lot of the mental burden of managing ISO systems away. Of course, there is still the homework to do on your side, as ultimately, you know how your business works best, but a consultant will guide you through what needs to be done. This, combined with their assistance with internal auditing, documentation updates, and guidance on implementing any changes on the management system, will save you a lot of time than if you were to do this alone or with a small team. We know that many of you tasked with ISO compliance in your business have another primary role that requires a lot more of your attention. So make it easier on yourselves with the help of an expert, so you can get on and do what you need to do with minimal interruption. And then lastly, there is a potential for scalability and flexibility. Outsourced services can often be scaled up or down based on the business's needs, offering flexibility that an internal team might not be able to provide, especially during periods of growth or crisis or during large company-wide projects. Even having a good idea of your working landscape, the unexpected can happen, both good and bad. Rapid growth in a business can be just as detrimental as a crisis, causing a similar brand of chaos if mismanaged, and it's easy to let things slip when the business has its focus elsewhere. ISO consultants can either pick up the slack and give you more of the rope to handle annual ISO maintenance, depending on what you need or want. As mentioned earlier, at Blackmores we have an ISO support plan that can be tailored to your exact needs, including the options to complete tasks such as conducting impartial internal audits, providing surveillance support, updating legal registers, helping with documentation updates, and conducting annual management reviews. With 3 levels of support available, we have no issue with you increasing or decreasing days required each year, or varying the tasks depending on where you need the most support. We're simply here to help you, and this may seem like a strange thing to say considering the nature of our business, but we're proud to see some of our long-term clients go it their own after years of support. An ISO management system should be owned by you at the end of the day, not us. We simply provide support and guidance to help make it as beneficial as possible to your business. If you get to a point where you're confident enough to manage without outsourced ISO support, then I'd say we've done our job well. But in the meantime, we're always here to lean on. So yeah, maybe that's an overly sentimental note to end it on, but it's one I personally believe in. Being with Blackmores for over 10 years now, I've had the pleasure of interacting with a number of clients that have been with us since I started here. That's a really long working relationship, and even though I'm not a consultant myself, it's still gratifying to see how far they've come with the help of our ISologists. And for those that have moved on from the need of our ISO support, they're still embodying the heart of ISO by driving continual improvement, and that's all we could ever hope for. So, on that note, if you're in need of any assistance with ISO support, please do get in touch. We'd be happy to discuss your needs and create a tailored support plan to fit your business. Either give us a call or contact us via our website, www.blackmoresuk.com. Thank you for listening. Before you go, I'd like to remind you to like and share this podcast in your preferred media player, and if you have 5 minutes to spare, please can you leave a nice shiny 5-star review, as these really do help us to reach a wider audience. If you have any suggestions for topics or guests, please do email them over to us at inquiries@blackmoresuk.com. Again, thank you for joining me on this episode. I look forward to catching up with you on the next episode of the ISO Show.
Looking to use ISO standards to drive better business practice? Contact us at blackmoresuk.com to access further information and book your free 15-minute call.